Okay, this is the P3 paper from June 2022. If we have a look at it, we can see that it's a functions question. We're going to be doing some work on composite functions, doing some work on inverse functions, and then we're going to need to solve that equation. We'll have to wait and see what that looks like, but certainly the first two bits are relatively straightforward. So we've got two functions here. One of them, fx, is given by that, and obviously they limit the domain here to keep it as a function. We can't have that bit working out to be equal to 0, otherwise it wouldn't be a function because it'd have a gap in it, it'd have an asymptote. And then gx, we're going to have, dead straightforward, 2x minus 7, where x is the reals. Okay, part A says, can we find this composite function fg5? Yeah, absolutely. g5 is just going to be putting 5 into our function for g, which gives me 10 minus 7, which just gives me 3. So fg5 is really f3. So that means just putting 3 into f. So we've got 5 minus 3 over 3 lots of 3 plus 2, and that gives us 2 over 11. 2 over 11 there. That's the answer to the first part. Second part says find the inverse of f. Okay, we can do that. So B, we had that fx was equal to 5 minus x all divided by 3x plus 2. Remember, our domain was x not equals minus 2/3 there, because we'll need to put a domain on our inverse when we're doing it. How do we do these? We just set y equals our function, which is that. And now all we need to do is to rearrange to make x the subject of this. Should have done lots of practice of these. Multiply everything by the denominator there, gives me that. Multiply this out, 3yx plus 2y equals 5 minus x. Collect all the x's on one side and everything else on the other side. So in this case, 3yx plus x is equal to 5 minus 2y. Factorise, take x out as a factor. I'm doing this fairly quickly because I've done lots of these as practice, so each step of this is not new to me. Isolate x now by doing 5 minus 2y over 3y plus 1, and that's my answer. But I want to write it as f to the minus 1x equals, so it's not 5 minus 2y, it's 5 minus 2x over 3x plus 1. We just need to go back and think about our domain business here. So we can't have x being equal to, sorry, we can't have the denominator being equal to 0. So if 3x plus 1 equals 0, 3x would be minus 1, x would be minus 1/3. So to add to this, x is all the real numbers, but x is not equal to minus 1/3. Make sure that you add all of that in to your answer for part B, which is finding the inverse. Okay, part C, solve this equation. Don't know what that's going to look like until we actually get going with it. They could give us anything here, so let's just stick it all in and see what we get. So we had f of 1 over a is equal to g lots of a plus 3 here. Okay, that's going to give me 5 minus 1 over a over 3 lots of 1 over a plus 2, and that's equal to 2 lots of a plus 3 minus 7. Don't look too complicated, but we'll just tidy it up. On the right hand side here, I've just got 2a plus 6 minus 7, but this left hand side, let's just take a little bit of time with this. Okay, if I'm going to do 5 over 1 minus 1 over a, and I'm going to do 3 over a plus 2 over 1, all I've done is written it like that, because now what I can do is cross multiply, and cross multiply on the numerator. Do the same thing here, cross multiply, and cross multiply. So I'm going to get them, I'm going to do it nice and slowly. So I'm going to get 5a minus 1 all over A divided by 3 plus 2A all over A. All of that equaled, what's that, 2A minus 1, isn't it? So if I'm now doing this left-hand side, basically those two will just cancel out. So I'm actually going to get 5A minus 1 over 3 plus 2A equals 2A minus 1. You might have done that slightly quicker in a different way, whichever. I'm obviously just trying to make it clear to people of the steps that I'm going through there. But as long as we end up with what we're going to do here now, take the 3 plus 2A over, looks to me like we're going to end up with a quadratic in A. So just take your time and make sure you're not making any mistakes here. No rush with this one. 5A minus 1. Multiplying all that out gives me 4A squared. It's going to work out to be plus 4A minus 3. When we get there, you might take longer to do that step maybe. Turn it into a quadratic, everything equals 0. So I'm going to get 4A squared minus A minus 2 equals 0. And at this stage here, always check and see whether this factorizes. It would not surprise me when we're going through these to see if we got some clever factorization. We don't in this case, but it's always worth just checking it out. If you're then going to stick it into the quadratic formula, I only put one line down. So I'd put A equals minus B, so that's 1, plus or minus the square root of B squared, so that's minus 1 squared, minus 4 lots of minus 2 all over 2A, so all over 8, and then I'll pretty much go to whatever the answer is. In this case, A works out to be 1 plus or minus root 33 over 8. Let's just go back and check that there aren't any limitations, which would mean that, no, just to solve it. So I don't need to take the positive or the negative or whatever else like that. Yeah, hopefully we've got all 9 marks on that one. Hope that makes sense.